Hello guys, and welcome to today's video. My name is Ngalo J. I hope you are all feeling blessed and favored today. Today we shall be talking about which children you must include in your DV case. So when you're applying for the DV lottery, that's when you're playing the DV lottery, you are asked to include all your living children. And by the living children, they mean any child that you have who is not yet married and is under the age of 21 at the time that you are playing the DV lottery. And this child or these children, they must belong to one of any of the three categories that we are going to see. So the first category of children that you have to include in your case is or are your biological children. So by biological children, we mean the children that you gave birth to yourself, right? Or your natural children. So these are the children, whether you had them before or after marriage, or whether you are still with their mother or not, your biological children, you have to include them in your case. The second category of children that you have to include are your stepchildren. So by stepchildren, they mean the child of your spouse. So for example, you got married to a woman who already had 2 children. Those children are your stepchildren. And according to the instructions, you have to list these children as your children. And they even say that even if you're separated or divorced from your spouse, you still need to list those children as your stepchildren, provided they are below 21 years and they are not yet married. Now, the third category of children that you should add are the adopted children. By this, they mean legally adopted children. That is, you have documents to prove that these children are under your custody or under your keeping legally. So I want to stress a bit on this third option of legally adopted children. So generally, we all know in our African communities, we usually take kids from the family, generally from family members, to raise up. At times, we even take these children when they are very young and we adopt them like our own children. So if you have such a child, that child does not belong to any of these 3 categories, as you can see, because that child is not your biological child, that child is not your stepchild, and that child is not your adopted child. So you can only claim ownership of that child if you adopt that child legally. Now, in certain circumstances that happen, right, in our communities, is that a parent or a couple, they may take a child from maybe their brother or sister, and then they establish the birth certificate of this child and put their name on the birth certificate of this child as if it is their child. You get what I mean? So you have a child, you have your nephew, for example, who lives with you. You took the child when the child was still very small. Maybe the father died or the mother died, or you just decided to take the child. You establish the birth certificate of that child, putting your name as the father. Meanwhile, you are the uncle, right? So in this case, if you apply for the DV with this child, it means that you are considering this child as your biological child, right? Now, what are some of the consequences or some of the things that you can face with this kind of situation? Is that if they discover that you added that child who is not your blood, if they discover it, I don't know by which means, then you are not going to get a visa because of that. Because it is written there, if you include any child who is not your child, then you will be ineligible to receive a diversity visa. Or if you don't include a child, you have a child while you are playing the DV, and you don't include that child, later on when you win the DV, you include the child on your DS-260 form, claiming that maybe you forgot to add the child, you are also going to be ineligible for the visa. All right, so I hope this brings clarity to some of the questions that I received from you. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this video so that it may get to those who are in need and add values to their lives. Have a blessed day and remain blessed.